3 o'clock in the morning. Anna sits in the kitchen, clutching her phone in trembling hands. A panic attack struck suddenly. Her heart pounded, her breath hitched, and her thoughts spiraled into a chaotic vortex of anxiety. Who could she call at such an hour? Her psychotherapist was unavailable until morning, her friends were asleep, and loneliness only amplified her fear. In despair, she opened the "Zero" app. A message appeared from the AI therapist. 20 minutes into the conversation, her breathing evened out, and the panic receded. The artificial intelligence didn't just ask questions. It remembered her history, previous episodes, and new relaxation techniques that were effective specifically for her. Modern psychotherapy has transcended the boundaries of offices and schedules. Now it's in her pocket, around the clock, without judgment, with a personalized approach. The revolution happened quietly, but its consequences are changing the fates of millions of people who previously faced their demons alone in the darkest hours of the night. What happens inside a digital psychologist when we turn to it for help? Modern AI therapists are complex, multi-layered systems, far removed from the primitive chatbots of the past. At their core are transformer neural networks, capable of grasping the subtlest nuances of human speech. When you write about your experiences, the algorithm doesn't just recognize keywords, it analyzes the context, emotional tone, and even what you're not saying. Like an experienced therapist, the system notices pauses between messages, changes in writing style, and the frequency of certain expressions. Your anxious thoughts are transformed into data vectors, which are compared with millions of patterns from a training set, including records of real therapeutic sessions. In seconds, the AI determines the optimal dialogue strategy, when to ask a clarifying question, when to suggest a relaxation technique, and when to simply listen empathetically. A key element of the system is the personalized patient model. With each interaction, the algorithm refines your psychological profile, remembering triggers, effective methods, and preferred communication style. Modern AI therapists integrate data from wearable devices, heart rate variability, sleep quality, physical activity, creating a holistic picture of your state. This allows the system to notice impending crises before the person themselves is aware of them, and to offer preventative support strategies. Imagine your DNA as a unique code, determining not only eye color but also how your brain reacts to stress, grief, or joy. Modern AI therapists have learned to read this code, creating unprecedentedly precise therapeutic strategies. Genetic markers become a compass in the ocean of psychological methods. At the heart of this breakthrough is an understanding of polymorphisms that affect neurotransmitter systems. For example, variations in the SLC6A4 gene determine how our brain processes serotonin, a key neurotransmitter of happiness. For people with certain variants of this gene, cognitive behavioral therapy can be several times more effective than meditative practices. AI systems analyze these features through non-invasive saliva tests, integrating the results into the therapeutic algorithm. Another example is the COMT gene, which affects dopamine metabolism. Its variations determine how sensitive a person is to stress and how quickly they recover after emotional upheavals. For carriers of the VAL-VAL variant, short, intense sessions are effective, while the MET-MET variant requires a softer, more gradual approach. Smart algorithms also take pharmacogenetics into account, the science of how genes affect drug absorption. If therapy includes medication support, AI adapts recommendations taking into account genetic metabolic characteristics. A personalized approach reduces the risk of side effects by 70% and doubles the effectiveness of treatment. This is especially important for patients with genetic variants that hinder the absorption of standard doses of antidepressants or anxiolytics. Everyday habits reveal more about us than we think. How we sleep, eat, move, and rest are not just routine actions, but invaluable material for psychological analysis. Modern AI therapists transform this data into a detailed personality portrait, identifying hidden patterns inaccessible even to the experienced human eye. Algorithms track when you go to bed and wake up, record periods of restless sleep and moments of awakening. Insomnia at 3 in the morning can be a sign of an anxiety disorder, while regular early waking can be a symptom of depression. Smart sensors determine how much time you spend in deep sleep phases, essential for emotional recovery. Even how often you pick up your phone in the middle of the night becomes a diagnostic marker. Eating habits also say a lot about our mental state. AI analyzes not only what you eat, but also how. Sudden changes in appetite, emotional overeating, skipped meals. The system notices that during periods of stress, you reach for certain foods and takes this into account in the therapeutic strategy. Physical activity becomes another informative layer. Algorithms see how your mobility changes with improvement or deterioration, noting days when you barely find the strength to get out of bed. Micro-habits, those small actions we perform unconsciously, are of particular value. The frequency of checking notifications, typing speed, response time to messages, daily walking routes. All of this forms a unique behavioral signature. Deviations from the usual rhythm often signal an impending emotional crisis long before obvious symptoms. Every click, like, and message leaves a trace in the digital space, which can reveal more about our mental state than hours of conversations with a therapist. Modern AI systems have transformed the analysis of digital behavior into a powerful tool for psychological diagnosis. The world of social networks has become a mirror of our soul, where algorithms see what is hidden even from ourselves. When Marina started publishing photos only with black and white filters, the AI therapist noticed it long before the first obvious signs of depression. The system tracked the change in color palette, the decrease in the frequency of smiles in selfies, and the gradual disappearance of people from the frame. For Marina herself, these changes were imperceptible, but for the algorithm, they formed a clear diagnostic pattern. The response speed to messages is another informative marker. AI records how long you look at an incoming message before replying, how many times you start typing and erase what you've written. A sharp increase in the time between receiving and reading messages often indicates social isolation, while obsessive checking of notifications can signal growing anxiety. Even how you hold your smartphone becomes a diagnostic tool. Micro-movements, the tilt angle of the device, the force of pressing the screen, all this forms a unique behavioral signature whose changes can indicate emotional shifts. Modern AI therapists also analyze linguistic patterns, how your vocabulary changes, sentence structure, the use of emotionally charged words. An increase in the frequency of the pronoun I and a decrease in the use of words related to social interaction often precedes depressive episodes. Imagine a system that understands you better every day. The adaptive algorithms at the heart of modern AI therapists make them not just tools, but true companions on the path to mental well-being. These are not static programs, but living, evolving ecosystems that grow with you. Every dialogue, every reaction, every exercise becomes a brick in the foundation of your unique therapeutic experience. When Sergey first approached an AI therapist with anxiety attacks, the system offered a standard set of breathing techniques. Some helped, others proved useless. The algorithm remembered this. Next time, It offered only effective methods, adding new options. Within a month, the system already knew exactly which techniques worked best for Sergey in different situations, during work stress, family conflicts, or insomnia. Feedback mechanisms are a key element of adaptive therapy. The AI doesn't just issue recommendations, it carefully monitors the results. Algorithms analyze both direct patient responses and indirect signs, changes in sleep patterns, physical activity, social interactions. If a proposed technique doesn't yield results, the system immediately adjusts its approach, rather than stubbornly clinging to an ineffective strategy. This radically distinguishes AI from some human therapists who stick to one method for years, regardless of the outcomes. A real breakthrough occurred with the implementation of predictive models capable of anticipating changes in a patient's condition. By analyzing thousands of parameters, the system recognizes approaching crises days and even weeks before they occur. For Elena, this was a lifesaver. The AI therapist noticed signs of an impending depressive episode by subtle changes in her digital behavior and activated a preventive support protocol without waiting for the symptoms to become overt. When technology penetrates the most intimate spheres of our lives, questions arise for which there are no simple answers. Can an algorithm truly understand human pain? Does a machine have the right to store our deepest fears? The line between technological progress and ethics in AI psychotherapy is becoming increasingly blurred. Data confidentiality is the first stumbling block. Psychological sessions are traditionally protected by doctor-patient privilege, but digital systems collect and analyze an unprecedented volume of personal information. Your emotional crises, childhood traumas, sexual preferences. All of this becomes part of the training data set. Even with strict anonymization, the question arises: are we ready to entrust the darkest corners of our souls to corporate servers? The issue of informed consent causes particular concern. Most users accept multi-page user agreements without reading them. Do they know that their psychological profiles can be used to train subsequent generations of algorithms? Do they understand the risks of data re-identification when combining disparate sources of information? No less complex is the question of dependency formation. When a therapist is available 24/7, knows all your triggers, and never tires of listening, will this not lead to an atrophy of skills for independently coping with difficulties? Already, some users admit that they prefer communicating with AI to real people. A system created for healing can inadvertently become the cause of a new form of isolation. Despite all its achievements, artificial intelligence in psychotherapy has its fundamental limitations. There are frontiers that technology cannot yet overcome, and perhaps never will. Crisis situations with a high risk of self-harm or suicide require immediate human intervention. When the empathy system detected signs of suicidal intent in Dimitri's messages, it did not try to cope on its own, but instantly connected the on-duty psychiatrist and emergency services. This protocol has saved many lives. Complex traumatic experiences are another area where machine intelligence retreats before human intelligence. An algorithm can recognize symptoms of PTSD, but working with deep traumas requires a unique human capacity for empathy at a bodily, intuitive level. This nonverbal, energetic connection between therapist and client cannot be digitized. The future of psychotherapy is not in replacing humans with machines, but in their harmonious union. Hybrid treatment models are already proving their effectiveness. AI takes on monitoring conditions, daily support, and skill practice. The human therapist focuses on deep work, complex existential questions, and moments of breakthrough. Such a tandem increases the accessibility of help without sacrificing its quality. Perhaps the main value of AI in psychotherapy is not in imitating humans, but in complementing their unique qualities. Technology expands the capabilities of specialists, allowing them to focus on what makes psychotherapy an art and not just a science, on the genuine encounter of two souls. Mikhail stared at the computer screen, but the lines of code blurred before his eyes. 3 months of deep depression had turned the once successful programmer into a shadow. His new build apartment on the outskirts of St. Petersburg had become a self-imposed prison. His sick leave was ending, but he had no strength to return to work. Traditional therapy wasn't helping. Antidepressants caused side effects, and seeing a psychologist required a trip across the entire city, which seemed an insurmountable task on days when even taking a shower was an achievement. A colleague messaged him, attaching a link to the beta testing of a new AI system. Mikhail was skeptical of the idea, but he had no other choice. The first thing that surprised him was that the system didn't start with generic questions. Instead, the AI offered a short saliva-based genetic test, integration with his fitness tracker, and access to his digital footprint. A week later, Mikhail received a personalized therapy protocol. You have a COMT gene variant associated with increased stress sensitivity and slow cortisol clearance. Traditional antidepressants are largely ineffective for your genotype, the AI explained. The system proposed an alternative approach: microdosing of physical activity, a specific sleep regimen, and personalized cognitive exercises. The key was adaptability. The AI mentor tracked that Mikhail most frequently fell into negative ruminations between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. During this time, the system proactively offered distracting tasks, gradually breaking the vicious cycle. When movement analysis revealed that Mikhail hadn't left his home for several days, the AI integrated gamification elements into the therapy, small outdoor tasks with virtual rewards. 3 months later, Mikhail returned to work. 6 months later, the depression had completely receded. The AI didn't just follow a protocol, it truly understood me, he now recounts, helping other patients learn the system. A human therapist couldn't have tracked my patterns around the clock and instantly adapted the treatment. But most importantly, the system helped me in those moments when I wouldn't have found the strength to seek help from a living specialist. Elena was an excellent law student, but her academic success was overshadowed by one problem: paralyzing social anxiety. Every time she had to go to the blackboard or give a seminar presentation, it turned into a real torture. Her heart pounded, her palms sweated, and her voice trembled betrayingly. "I know everything, but I can't show it," she admitted bitterly to her diary after another public speaking failure. Traditional therapy proved ineffective. The psychologist offered standard techniques that didn't account for Elena's individual characteristics. Everything changed when the university launched a pilot project called Social Ease, an AI system for dealing with social anxiety. The first thing the system did was conduct a comprehensive analysis of Elena's anxiety triggers. It turned out that her fear had a specific nature, not just a fear of public speaking, but a fear of negative evaluation combined with a high level of perfectionism. The AI coach developed a step-by-step program with micro-exposures adapted to the girl's physiological characteristics. Instead of standard breathing techniques, the system offered Elena a tactile grounding method, imperceptible finger movements that activated certain points on her palm, instantly reducing her anxiety level. A wearable sensor tracked her heart rate variability, and when the system noticed signs of increasing panic, Elena received a vibrating signal and a prompt to apply the technique. The breakthrough was the use of virtual reality with biofeedback. The AI created digital copies of university auditoriums and simulated various presentation scenarios. Elena trained in a safe environment, and the system gradually increased the complexity of situations based on her reactions. When, 3 months later, Elena brilliantly defended her term paper in front of a full audience, she couldn't believe her own success. The system taught me not just to cope with anxiety, but to understand its mechanisms in my specific case, she shares now, helping other students with similar problems. The AI coach became my personal guide to a world without fear. It knew when to support, when to push, and never lost patience. The Kovalyov family was going through a difficult time. After their parents' divorce, 13-year-old Alisa became withdrawn, 10-year-old Kirill started displaying aggression, and the former spouses couldn't communicate without mutual accusations. Traditional family therapy yielded no results. Gathering everyone in one room at the same time seemed an impossible task. It was then that the psychologist suggested an innovative approach, the Family Sync program, which uses artificial intelligence to coordinate family therapy in the digital age. The system began with an individual analysis of each family member. For Alisa, the AI created a safe space in the form of a text chat, where the teenager gradually opened up, talking about feelings of betrayal and the fear of losing connection with her father. For Kirill, the system offered a game-based therapy format, where aggressive impulses were transformed into constructive actions. The AI helped the parents see the conflict through their children's eyes, using, quote, technology. The algorithm analyzed and visualized the children's emotional reactions to various family situations. The uniqueness of the approach lay in asynchronous communication. The family didn't need to physically gather together. The system coordinated the therapeutic process, collecting information from each participant and creating a holistic picture of the family dynamics. Based on this data, the AI developed individual relationship recovery plans for each family member, taking into account their personal characteristics, schedules, and preferred communication methods. After 3 months of working with the system, the first breakthrough occurred. Alisa agreed to a joint dinner with her father, and Kirill was able to calmly discuss his feelings with his mother. The AI not only recorded these positive changes, but also adapted the further strategy, gradually building bridges between the fragmented parts of what was once a single family. We stand on the threshold of a new era of psychotherapy, where the boundaries between technology and human consciousness are becoming increasingly thin. The tomorrow of personalized AI therapy is already peeking through the fog of the present, and its outlines astound the imagination of even the boldest futurists. Neurointerfaces are, perhaps, the most revolutionary element of future mental health support systems. Already, non-invasive devices capable of reading emotional states directly from the brain, bypassing the need for verbalization of feelings, are being tested. Imagine a therapeutic process where AI recognizes nascent anxiety even before you yourself become aware of it, and gently adjusts neural connections, restoring balance. Virtual reality will transform from an experimental method into a standard therapeutic tool. AI will create personalized virtual worlds where traumatic memories can be safely processed, phobias overcome in a controlled environment, and new behavioral patterns reinforced through immersive experience. Future systems will unite into a single mental health ecosystem, where data from various sources, from smart homes to urban infrastructure, will form a holistic picture of psychological well-being. Your refrigerator, tracking eating habits, your car, analyzing driving style, and even city cameras, recording gait. All this will become part of the therapeutic circuit. The most astonishing aspect of future AI therapy will be its ability to provide proactive care. Systems will not merely react to problems, but prevent their appearance, creating an optimal environment for the psychological flourishing of each individual.